Hey guys, having my cup of joe, and I want to talk to you about a couple laws that people think are going to affect them as an expat coming here to the Philippines. If you watch the P, which most of you do, she had an attorney on and they were talking about how it's a law that you have to support the family. Well, I did not watch that episode. I do not watch YouTube videos. Being a YouTuber, watching other people, I'm afraid I'll get their words in my head, and when I do a video, I'll just repeat what they said. So I always want to keep my content fresh, not hear what they say, but I do check out their thumbnails, and I do read some of the comments, and that helps me understand what the video was about. I have a lot of respect for the P. She's a hard worker. I've been watching her since the beginning when I was in the States. I remember when she climbed a coconut tree because she reached like 5,000 or 10,000 viewers. And now look at her, 300,000. Looks like it's on the horizon for her. Anyway, the law that they were talking about is a financial responsibility law, where a sibling, a child, if the parents were in need, the family has to help them. You can't be well off and let your parents starve. You know, back in the States, you can only compare this to you as a man. You got two brothers, you got a sister, and say your dad is alive, but he doesn't get Social Security. He has absolutely no income whatsoever, and he ends up being homeless. And before he becomes a ward of the state, the government would come to you and say, hey, Mike, David, Joe, Martha, you have to take care of your dad. You can't let him live like that. Well, in the U.S., we don't have laws like that. There's moral things. Morally, you should take care of somebody. But here, they probably have a law on that if somebody needs care, the authorities would take that person to the family and say, hey, we have nowhere to help this person. You need to help him. He's your family, or she's part of your family. Yes, I can see that being something that's enforced here. I think it's more enforced at the barangay level than a federal government law. I think everything here, which is great about the Philippines, is a lot of things are dealt with at the barangay level, at the lowest level. Back in the U.S., it would be, your neighborhood, the neighborhood watch, but here in the Philippines, each barangay elects a barangay captain. And when a law is broken, or you have an argument with a neighbor, or a situation develops, maybe property lines or something, maybe you hit somebody with your motorbike, maybe you cut their water line by accident and they want you to pay for it. It's dealt with at the barangay level first. You first go to the barangay. The barangay captain is he's a great politician. He should find a happy medium, find a good compromise, let everybody save face, and go on with life without any major issues. And hopefully people shake hands and leave. But this law where people are trying to make you think, everywhere I'm reading on the internet now, on YouTube, they're trying to make you think if you hook up with a girl, that you're financially responsible for her family. And the chances are absolutely not. Absolutely not. There's no law that says me as a foreigner over here on a tourist visa, and I have a live-in girlfriend, I have to take care of that girlfriend's family. All the paperwork that I've signed at the Bureau of Immigration, all the other people I've talked to, no one has ever brought that up. No one has ever said that you are financially responsible for anybody but yourself and your bills. When you sign a lease, don't have your girlfriend sign it too. Just you sign it. So you're responsible for that lease. If you put her name on that, she's going to be responsible also. But it's more for that instance where somebody in your immediate family here in the Philippines, a Filipino, is in need. They don't have anywhere to live. They don't have any food. They have to be somewhere. They're going to approach the family and say, hey, you have to take care of your family. It's your family. And they do it willingly. It's not something people run away from. People here don't run away from the responsibility to take care of the family. And they're not saying, oh, the electric bill is due. All the family members have to pay. No, that's still the responsibility of the person whose electric bill it is. But the family gets together, and if someone's having a problem, the family helps each other. That's where it's called donating to the family or paying your fair share. If there's 6 brothers and sisters, and I'm just going to say the mom and dad can't afford the electricity bill, and the electricity bill is, just for round numbers, is 3,000 pesos. They divide that up among the 6 siblings, and each one tries to pay their fair share. Now, some people make more money than somebody else. Somebody might be in a better place financially than others, so their share might be a little bit more. But no one's, other than siblings and close relatives, is someone going to step in there and pay the whole bill. And there's no law saying that you're the foreigner, you're dating the daughter, that you have to pay all those bills. Now, if you marry into the family, and this is all my opinion, this is not legal advice, this is just me and the common sense of the Philippines. If you marry into the family, you should know the background of the family members. And we're talking about the immediate family. We're talking about brothers, sisters, the siblings, and we're talking about the parents and grandparents if they're still around. Are they in a good spot? Do they own land and they have a house on the land? It might not be a great house, but they have a house. And they have a pot to cook in. And they have a television set. And they have electricity. They might not have internet. They might not have Wi-Fi, but they have data. Do they have transportation to go somewhere? Or is transportation close enough that they can walk and catch a trike or a jeepney to go to the grocery store or up to the market to go shopping or to get rice? If they have all of these things, you really don't have much of a responsibility at all if you marry into that family. Now, if you marry into that family and you see the mother and the father are living on the street, you see brothers living on the street, it might become a moral thing. Legal maybe, but morally, you should help them out. And if you don't want to get involved with the moral end of that and the legal end of that, vent the family that you're going to be with. Now, nobody can judge the future. No one here can say 3 years from now, Mike, you're going to be homeless. Well, I might be. I might be here in the Philippines with nowhere to live in 3 years. As bad as I do YouTube, I'm going to have no money coming in pretty soon. So you have to look at the overall family, and don't be worried about this law that people are talking. It's been around for a long time, and I can't think of anybody who has been arrested for this. I've never heard any case where someone got arrested because the family needed help. If they have a hospital bill and the hospital releases them on payments, they're Filipino, not everybody can afford to pay the hospital bill at one time, and they release them on payments. They don't come after you and say, hey, Mike, hey, Paul, you have to pay the entire bill. You're financially responsible. No, you're not. You're not. But the family as a whole might be responsible for that bill. That's possible. That's possible. When the parents, quote, pass, and there's always, at the end of life, the bill's pretty high. The family has a moral responsibility to pay that bill. And you as a foreigner, if you're married into that family, you should pay your fair share. But I don't see it being a law where you have to pay the whole thing just because you have deep pockets. And the key there, and if I am a little bit wrong somewhere, the key there is don't let everybody know how deep your pocket is. Keep some money in the U.S. Don't keep all your money here. But I do not see that. I see that more as a common sense law where children need to take care of their parents. The parents, on the other end of that, say they have a mentally challenged child. Say they have a handicapped child. They can't just take that child and put him on the corner of the street and desert him, even though it does happen. It happens all over. You know, there's a child in Cebu City Children Drop-Off Center that Jan and I support. They get abandoned children dropped off all the time. And by law, I'm sure it's illegal to do. But I don't see the police department going after the parents. That's the social workers try to find the parents. In my conversations with them, the social worker goes and try and find an aunt or an uncle or a grandparent that will take care of that child, will bring that child in. So the financial responsibility of a family here in the Philippines to other family members, it's a moral thing. It might be law. There might be a law saying, you know, you can't just throw a family member out. You know, you see how in these compounds, whole families live together. They might have 2 or 3 houses in the compound. You might have one house with 3 or 4 siblings that are married, all living in the same house. There might be some sort of law saying you can't just throw people out without reason. Just like in the U.S., you know, the old joke, man, I can't wait till you're 18, son. I'm going to throw your butt out of here as fast as I can. You know, it's a different culture here. It's a different way of life. Don't think it's going to affect you. But do your due diligence. Find out the quality of the family. Find out the financial situation of the whole family. You don't want to be walking into a ticking time bomb. You know, if there's a lot of problems in a family, you know, maybe you want to rethink things, you know, a little bit to make sure you'll be comfortable with the family. And again, we don't know what the future will bring. We don't know the good and the bad that will happen in the future, but be prepared. But I would not be scared of that law. I would not think I'm going to go broke because somebody in the family needs to be taken care of. I don't think they're going to come after me. They're going to go after the parents first, and then the oldest son, and you know, there's a chain of command as it would be. You have the parent, the grandparents, the parents, and the children, and there's a pecking order. And they're not going to come right to me. Family members might come to me and ask for money, but I don't think the law is going to come after me and ask for money. Now, the other law that so many people love to hit me with is hanging out with a minor. Now, a lot of guys message me and they say, Mike, you're taking chances with Janet and her son is a minor. And if you're home alone with the minor, you can be arrested. Well, again, there's common sense in that law. Yes, foreigners should not be out there with minors. Now, the law reads, and I'm not going to read it verbatim, but you can't be with a minor in a resort. Okay, that's one. You can't be alone with a minor in a hotel. And if you show up in a hotel and you have an underage girl and an underage boy, and you check in and it's you and just these 2 children, I expect the people at the hotel, at the front desk, the management, the maid, anybody to contact the police. I expect that. And if it's me with PJ while Janet's still in transit, then when the police come, I would be happy to explain the situation. Because that cop, that policeman who is educated, they're not, you know, they're not stupid people here. These are good, solid individuals who are on the police department. And if they come to investigate, they would talk to the boy in Visayan, to PJ in Visayan. They would get on the phone and text Janet. If Janet wasn't available, they would text PJ's grandparents or his aunt. And they would verify that Janet and I are a couple and we're in transit and Janet's right behind us. Same thing walking through downtown DUMAGUETE. Somebody says, don't be taking that kid to McDonald's The police are going to come and get you. No, they're not. If Janet's shopping and me and PJ decide we're going to go get a burger and a Coke at McDonald's, no, the police aren't going to stop us. And if they do, if a policeman thinks there's something suspicious, he will ask a few questions and solve it. He's not going to arrest me, put me in handcuffs, and act like I'm a criminal. And if you go to the point where people say, you piss off the neighbors, they're going to call the police on you that you're home alone with a minor. Well, go right ahead. I welcome that. If a neighbor thinks something bad is happening at a house, please call the authorities. Call them. Because in that 1 out of 100 chance something is happening, you do want to get to the bottom of it. But again, that officer, that policeman, 2 policemen, or the Brangy captain, whoever shows up, they're just going to ask some common sense questions. They'll speak to the boy, they'll speak to me, they'll message Janet, they'll message the family. If you're innocent and you're not doing nothing wrong, you're not going to jail. But if you're one of these bad guys that come over here and, try to get with minors, they're going to find you. They'll arrest you in the hotel. They'll arrest you at the resort. They can tell. And that is something really bothers me, that people think all these laws are going to affect you the minute you get off the plane. And it's just like dating a married woman and having sex with a married woman. Now, this law is on the books. It's enforceable, but it's only against the law for a married woman to have sex outside the marriage. For a married man to have sex outside the marriage, it's not against the law. I looked online, and when I was talking to that lawyer, and he told me he only knew of 3 cases in the last 2 years where that was prosecuted, and all 3 were rich Filipinos filing charges against their wives who got pregnant. So what it is, they're trying to save the bloodline. They don't want to raise another man's child if the wife has it. They want their children to be pure blood. They want their boy or their daughter that they're raising to be theirs, just like you do back home, And just because you have sex with a married woman, the chances of you going to jail are so slim, because the law reads both the wife and the other party, the guy, have to be arrested. They both serve the same punishment. They both serve the same crime. And the other fear is that a guy, if it's married and they're going to blackmail you, the guy will come up to you and say, hey, I want money, or I'm going to prosecute you. Well, remember, he has to prosecute the wife also. But it's really not blackmail. People call it blackmail. It's more like when your kid back home breaks a window with his baseball. He throws the ball and he breaks a window. The store owner calls you, you go to the store, and the store owner goes, if you give me $400 for the window, I won't press charges. But if you don't pay for the window, don't give me $400, I'm going to press charges. That's not blackmail. That's just negotiating the cost of the crime you did. So sometimes it's better off, if you do get yourself in a little bit of a predicament, to pay it off, to have it go away. But if she never tells you that she's married, you're not guilty, because you have to know she's married. And you have to use some common sense too. If she's wearing a wedding ring and she's always talking to the husband on the phone, you need to have common sense. Common sense rules here in the Philippines more than anything else. But these 2 laws that really bug me, that everybody's up in arms against, that you're totally responsible for the family. You're not. There's no way you are. No way. And the one where if you're with your wife's or your girlfriend, if they're a single mom, or could be charged with being with a minor. Well, you could be, but I don't think so. Common sense rules. The police, the Brangy captain, they all have common sense. They can tell the difference. And everybody here just wants to live a happy, peaceful life, and no one's really looking for trouble. Maybe YouTubers are, but no one else. Okay, guys, leave me comments about this. I'm sure you will, about these 3 different laws. leave me comments, and I'll see what you have to say. Am I full of shit? Do I know what's going on? I don't know. Hey,